Okay, hold on. There we go. Hopefully it stops moving. Alright guys. It's been a long time. It's CCZ Genesis. I'm making a deck profile for first time for quite some time, honestly. So I chose for my first one to do on Black Blue Loki. So this whole thing with Black Blue Loki is that a couple of my friends were spinning the ideas of Alter Loki. I was joking around with every time I would IU Lila and against another Alter deck, like I should just run Black Stones myself. So why not just do it yourself then at that point? So Loki, one blue energized, 2 blue, one colorless Judgment. Her Judgment's a 8/12 flyer. Actually no, not even flying. Wow. This is how much you don't never flip Loki in this deck. You never get to flip Loki ever. Don't worry about it. So we're gonna go on to the rune deck. So the rune deck of my choice is Ruined Earth, Return to God, Free to Alter, Power of Mortality, and Charm. So we'll go over each individually. Charm. So you're gonna notice this deck definitely wants to go second. So you get the blue energized. Once you get the blue energized, you just basically pass turn when you pass for stone. Against an Alter deck, you're gonna just take their turn Lila, turn 1 Lila, or turn 1 Skeleton Horde. Play your Alter, sack it off, essentially. That's gonna be basically your turn 2. Turn essentially. Charms is a really good card in general. It allows you to take 2 drops or less. So you could take like a Messenger of the Sun, use some runes, draw some cards essentially as well. It's always a decently good card. Power of Mortality. For the rune deck, you pay 1 colorless less, so you're paying 1 black to use it. So this is basically our major combo enabler here. With Skeleton Hordes, with Lila, with Alseid, with Athenia. We'll go into more of it, obviously, later. It's just a very powerful toolbox card that lets you revive your Resonators. Even if you're playing against the Alter Mirror, they use their own Athenia. You just Power of Mortality, in response to your Athenia trigger, sack it, it comes back. Easy. So, Freed from Alter is our Searcher. 1 black to search any Darkness Resonator in your deck. Very strong. You can search Lila, you can search Alseid, basically to get your combo engine going. If you already think you have enough of that, you can just search like a Stemma, you can search an Athenia, a Belial, or Diablos if you're that type of person. I like Diablos, but I don't play Diablos in this deck. You lose 400 life. 400 life to tutor, definitely worth it. 100% worth it. You're also going to notice I'm not playing Mystery Box because you don't need a Mystery Box when you got Return to God. Return to God is honestly the reason why you play Loki in general for this deck. Being able to look at the top 7 and just pick whatever you want, cheat it out. Cheating's always been the strongest thing in any card game that you could do. So being able to play like a 5-drop for the top of your deck is very powerful. And then, last but not least, Ruined Earth. You plan on getting far ahead, so you have to set your opponent further back. That's how you punish that's how you essentially get so far ahead that your opponent cannot come back, essentially. Say you're on turn 5 and turns to stone while your opponent's on turn 2 or 3. You shoot this out, and they basically just lose from there. What else can I say? Unless they're playing Hanzo, this card is going to destroy them. We'll go into the stone deck. We play 4 Magic Stone Time, and then 12 Darkness Stones. You don't need a Magic Stone Time. Just be sideboard options potentially. I don't have a sideboard. I'm not going to show a sideboard because local metas could be different compared to where everyone else is. And so for 1-drops, for Lila is the bread of the deck. Alseid is the butter of the deck. Being able to sack herself to gain a stone that is recovered is insane. So we are able to tempo out even further and faster than our opponents potentially. And if you're playing against the Alter Mirror, if you get Lila out first or second, all you need is the Alter. You essentially are going to be a far ahead. But in the Alter Mirror, don't use Alter until your opponent uses Alter, essentially. Unless your opponent doesn't have an Alter. For a Skeleton Horde, just another combo enabler. In case you don't see Lila, you're able to use Skeleton Horde with Alisade as well. Even then, it's also sort of better than Lila in a sense, where you're able to produce more counters from your Alter. Especially in combination with Power of Immortality, so you're able to get instant 5 counters for just 2 mana potentially. 2 mana gives you 5 counters because this is 4 bodies. Well, no, it would give you 4 counters, and then another creature would give you 5 counters. So essentially, potentially 3 mana to give you 5 counters. Pretty good. It's a 4/4 1-drop, really good stat line. Makes a 1/1 when it dies. Pretty good. Your opponent's basically forced to Keys Call or Lorite the effect, but they're not really gonna do that, right? All right, we play 3 IU. All right, so IU is another reason why you want to go second, besides to get the blue energized. So you can, besides either using Charm, you can just energize out the IU, take their Skeleton Horde, take their Lila, and just keep hold of it. So essentially, and then if they establish another 1-drop that you have with Lila, that you have an IU still, and you have an Alter, you can sack the IU. You can Power Immortality IU, sack her. She comes back into play, get their 1-drop, sack their 1-drop, and continue so on and so forth with that. So again, there's very good interactions with IU that you can do with the 1-drops this format, like Shimimi, Alter Mirrors again. But Shimimi has a lot of 1-drops. Machines also have a lot of 1-drops, like you either force an attack of Guinevere or eat whatever you target with the Guinevere. You're able to get rid of the drones. You're able to get the drone drones. You're able to get the Vivians, and you're able to get rid of them immediately afterwards, which is insane on a whole new level. It's a very powerful card in this format, and I'm really happy to see that happen. And so that's all for the 2 drops. So there's 3 drops. We have 9 3-drops, I want to say. So Astema is a very good reach card. Being able to burn your opponent for 5, gain 5 on rune 3, and pay 400 to draw a card. She essentially lets you dig, and being able to draw a lot of cards is an excellent way to obviously gain more advantage towards your opponent. And even then, you get even put your opponent on a timer if you can keep constantly playing the Astemas. So if you just keep bringing out Astemas, you put your opponent on the clock. So you could resurrect Astemas, you could bring them out from the deck, you could, resurrect them obviously, I just said that. So you just want to keep bringing them back, keep drawing cards, keep burning them for 5, keep gaining 5. Honestly, she's such a good card, but no more than 3 in my opinion. 4 gets a little too clunky, you don't really need that much, because you can always search her out. Next, the butter of the deck. 3 Alisade. So Alisade, obviously, people, you could bring back Lila, you could bring back Skeleton Horde, you could bring back Lorite. if you played Lorite in your version of the deck, which you can. There's no problem with playing 1 Lorite in your deck because you have Alter, you have Mana Transmuter, if you're doing that build. So again, the whole combo. You could sack the Alisade as well to get one of them back again. So essentially you'll have 2 triggers. That's pretty good in itself. So you're able to sack, come back, sack again. So you get more stones, you get more counters towards your Alter. So you constantly keep accelerating And once you're so far ahead of acceleration, that's the whole game plan. It's just to accelerate so far ahead of your opponent that you could go out of control. Yeah, you can get mana screwed because you just draw all the blue stones, so you don't have any black sources. I mean, that happens. It's a risk versus reward factor that you can go off so fast, and you can take such a strong hold versus your opponent that it's just worth the risk. So. I thought it was right next to me. Okay, so 3 mana transmuters. An excellent 3-drop the addition to bring in, just to be able to produce the blue or the black, the extra black, whatever you need essentially. Mainly it's going to be to produce the extra blue, for me at least. For cards like Spinning Alpha Soul, Keys' Call, to play the Eye, to play the Return of Gods. And to pay 300 life just to produce a mana, very easy, very cheap to do, very worth it. So it essentially also lets you play Lorites if you want to play the Lorite, which no reason not to play it. Decide it. You get, if you draw into your opening hand, you just mulligan it away until you get the altar, essentially. But regardless, it's a very powerful card. Being able to, again, accelerate mana. Mana acceleration is such a powerful thing right now that there's no reason not to abuse it. And that's it for the 3 drops. For 4 drops, we play 4 of them, obviously. Two Azazel. So Azazel is an instant speed. An instant speed, make your opponent sack a Resonator, or look at the top 2, pick your card, then dump the other one. You're mainly just going to use it to either force your opponent to sacrifice a Resonator that you can't really, that you don't want to deal with or you can't deal with. Let's say your opponent has like 2 Kururas. You bring this out, make them sacrifice 1 to Kururas. So at least you're done with that. Or it's also a decent card because Belial, it can't die to Belial. It's a 9/10. It has really good stats. It can block Misty Water Dragon. You could just force your opponent to sack big things. It's flying, so it has the ability to deal a decent amount of damage to your opponent. In general, it's just a really good card. You can play as a 1-of. I'm going to play as a 2-of. I like it a lot, honestly. Alright, and then 2 Misty Water Dragon. Very hard card to get rid of. It forces your opponents to either -9/-9 the board or deal with it forever, essentially. Or counter it. Because when Mystery Water Dragon hits the field, it's going to be a power card. It's a card that's just really hard to get rid of unless they Lorite it or Keys Call the effect. I mean, yes, if you're playing against Gil, they're going to have the Lorites. If you're playing against Blue, they're probably going to have the Keys Call, but it's still such a strong card against the Altar Mirror that you'll always at least have a Resonator that you will have, guarantee, essentially. You're at least guaranteed a Resonator versus the Altar Mirror match, because it can't get rid of this card unless they're playing Jet Black Wings and Ruined Earth the same turn, or they have multiple Athenias out in the field. Next, we play our boss monster, for Athenia. She is the reason why this deck works. She is the best card in this deck, hands down, besides Altar. I love this girl. This girl is amazing. Being able to on enter, force your opponent to sacrifice a Resonator, and if they can't, they lose a stone. So you can essentially board wipe them, bring her out, make them sack a stone, sacrifice it, make them sack another stone or an entity. They sack an entity. When she leaves the field, she sacks an entity. So they can sack a stone if they have a board presence, if they really want to keep if they don't want to keep the stone or don't need the stones anymore. That's actually very relevant. So you can keep bringing her back with like Power of Immortality, Dark Revolutions, the Puppeteer, the 5-mana Monster Reborn, essentially. It's also a decently good card right now, in my opinion. You could tap her, give -2/-2 to the board to your opponent's side of the field. Or if you have 4 runes revealed, just tap to do -4/-4. So if you have multiples out there, they become -8/-8s, and then it just gets out of control. So I'll go more in depth into what combos you can do with the Athenia, which could be insanely good, depending on the situations, if you haven't used certain cards. And last Resonator, the one Belial. Belial's just a strong card nonetheless, just an instant board wipe to reset the board versus certain matchups. If you're against machines and they don't have the Keys' Call, you just bam, Belial them. You're setting them so far back that you basically, against machines, you set them so far back that you don't let the mystery box at all. And that's why it's so powerful. So that's all the Resonators. We'll go with our additions. 4 altars, self-explanatory, free sacrifice outlet. That's pretty much why most removal spells have gone, not have gone obsolete, but out of favor, because black is just going to sack most of their dudes anyway, but it's good to keep removal, just to keep forcing your opponents out. There's a lot of weaknesses to this deck. If you don't have the altar, obviously because it's a lot slower, but you can just keep playing around the game plan. There's a ton of games where I don't have altar and I can still win just because the game plan. You just keep going with the game plan, essentially, to goddamn, to reoccur value. So we're going to our chance. Keys' Call, very strong, very good card right now. Stops automatic effects and draws you cards, so it basically cantrips for 1 blue, essentially, and also negates an automatic effect. In the mirror match, this card is very powerful. It stops Lila, it stops the Alseid, it stops the Lorites, it stops the Athenia, and it stops the Athenia. That's very important, to be able to stop your opponent from being able to make a push. It's irrelevant to have the Keys' Call to stop your opponent from making the push, from coming back. That's what we don't want, is our opponents to come back, essentially. So the Keys' Call gives us more card advantage, more cycling, plus the ability to slow down our opponent if they are getting too far ahead of us. Yeah, I thought I did this a little bit better, but so Command and Life and Death, combo extender with Alseids. You can even do a combo extension with Astema as well. So we can just keep burning them with Astema. We can combo extend with Alseid. You can even bring back Mana Transmuter. So these are based. Well, let me get the full art, obviously. Let's not be bad here, guys. Hell, even Ayu could be a good target for this too, depending on the situation. So, just combo extender, in terms of either mana ramping, grabbing back one of your 1-drops, draining, burning, and drawing a card. Just keep extending through the deck, or slowing down your opponents even further. So being able to play with your graveyard as essentially it could be your secondary hand, essentially. And that's what we want to do. Use our secondary hand. Obviously, there are cards around that, but you can't play through everything, right? Alright, so 3 Spinning Aqua Souls. Again, to grab back Command of Life and Death, to grab back Keys' Call, to grab back Return to God, to grab back Dark Revolution. Our powerful chants are able to be grabbed back by Spinning Aqua Soul. So we can either keep slowing down our opponent, keep extending our combos, keep making our push towards the finish of the game, or keep slowing our opponents towards our end goal. It's a cheap recursion spell at instant speed. Being able to grab it back, grab a Command of Life and Death, grab a Stemma, or grab Alseid if we have altars, stuff like that. Just keep on digging. Keep on pushing forward. 3, Return to God. Again, there's not much more I can say about how important this card is to the deck. And how much we want to constantly abuse this card. Being able to look through our deck. Being able to pick the cards we want out of the deck specifically. It's important to be able to get our choice and continue pushing forward. So like if you need a 4-drop, 5-drop, a 2-drop, even a 3-drop, whenever you can play it. You can play it whenever you want to. The situations, like if you need a 2-drop on turn 2, you can do it. Not recommended, but in case you're playing against Shamimi, they have a board full of 1-drops. You really need that IU. Flip it. Attempt to get the IU. And last but not least, Dark Revolution. Dark Revolution gets our best cards of the deck, which is Asthenia, and potentially Belial if you need a board wipe again. But mainly Athenia. So being able to reuse our Athenias is the main purpose of the deck. We want to abuse the Athenia. We want to make sure our opponent has no more stones. I am a jerk. I am a jerk when it came to building this deck. I'm just saying, you know what? No one's allowed to have fun with their stones anymore. And honestly, if I really wanted to, I could build the sideboard to have Ruined Earths, more Ruined Earths. Shayla's Foresight to keep recycling my entire deck. There's so many options that I can have, so I can keep making the long game an inevitable victory for me. Yes, you can get early aggroed out. You can. There's a lot of downsides that you just constantly draw all black with not one blue, and had to go first, so your entire hand's full of blue cards. I mean, it can likely happen. There are 15 blue cards in this deck versus the rest of them being black, so the possibilities are there. But as well, it's great. So that's it, guys. That's my deck profile. Like, I had fun building this deck. I had fun playing it. I wish I could show you guys a gameplay video. Possibly when I can get the chance to make a gameplay video, I will. But honestly, that is the deck profile, guys. I guess I should go over some combos, because that's what I probably said I was going to do. So, with the Athenia and Altar. So essentially, if you have the Athenia, you have the Altar, you haven't used your Power of Mortality, and this is during your turn, you get Power of Mortality Athenia, tap, sack, bring back Athenia, they're forced to sack 2 things, sack her again, force them to sack another thing. I put my kind of away. Dark Revolution, her back, sack her again, spin Knuckle Soul Dark Revolution back, do it again, so on and so forth. The deck is very powerful, and you notice that some people will be playing the Mosasaurus package with the dinosaur surfacing because of Loki's flip side potentially, or just because Return to God. Honestly, the Mosasaurus package is strong, don't get me wrong, it's a great package. It's not I think it's not necessary, honestly. It's dead cards in your hand if you don't draw a blue source. And I would rather just make my opponent lose the stones permanently rather than just tapping them free. Yeah, you get a 15-10 body with it, but I honestly still think it's not necessary whatsoever. So tell me you guys what you think. I honestly had a lot of fun. It's been a long time since I made a deck profile. I'm stuttering trying to make it. God. Stuttering trying to make this deck profile. If you guys had stayed this long into the video, thank you so much, guys. I hope to continue making more videos. Tell me what deck profiles you want to see next, and I'll try to build it, try to make a gameplay video of it. I miss doing this, honestly. It's been a lot of fun. I hope you guys have a wonderful day today.